toxic masculinity.
This is not over. DeSantis blasts 60 Minutes report on Florida's vaccine rollout.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have heard about this. I was actually the 60 Minutes thing was sent to me. An article from the Daily Kos was sent to me about this from a Democrat saying, "Hey, look at this! One of your golden boys is fallen." And weirdly, at literally the same time, I was watching Tucker Carlson, and DeSantis was on there talking about it. And I'm like, and so I watched the Tucker Carlson thing real quick, and I look at the Daily Kos article, and I write back to this guy, and I'm like, hey, they just totally debunked this instantly. This 60 Minutes, this 60 Minutes thing is absolute garbage. But let's go ahead and have a read here. For those of you who don't know, basically 60 Minutes interviewed DeSantis, or they asked him a question at a press conference specifically about how he had distributed the vaccine through this grocery store called Publix, which is popular in the South generally, I think, and specifically in Florida. And I guess Publix had contributed to his gubernatorial campaign or something like that. So they were saying this was like a quid pro quo. This was like a pay for play. Like they had donated money to you, and so they benefited with this rollout of the drug, of the vaccine for COVID. And he said, "No, this wasn't even my decision." What are you talking about? I wasn't even the one that made the decision to roll it out on Publix. Like, back off. I brought all the options to all the different people involved, and they all agreed that Publix was the best route to get this vaccine distributed. But a lot of his explanation of what happened was cut out of the 60 Minutes segment, and instead they put in their own editorializing, which was basically just criticizing DeSantis and distorting what happened in such a way that made him look bad. And a lot of conservatives are suspicious now because he's such a popular guy amongst conservatives. Basically, everybody thinks that if Trump doesn't run in 2024, it's going to be DeSantis is going to be the next president. And so I think it looks like to a lot of Republicans, like Democrats are starting to try to do hit pieces on DeSantis in whatever way they can to try to cripple his chances in 2024.
It's not 2024. DeSantis didn't even say he's going to run, but they're already trying to impeach
exactly
him.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. They're already trying to impeach him. Exactly right. Yeah, you've got it exactly. Okay, so let's read the headline here. This is not over. DeSantis blasts 60 Minutes report on Florida's vaccine rollout. The person who sent me this article, by the way, because I haven't seen the full 60 Minutes video yet. I haven't had time to watch the full thing. I'll watch it tonight. But the guy who sent me this Kos article said, well, it wasn't just this Publix issue. There was a lot of problems with what DeSantis did with regard to the rollout, even though I think like 80% of old people have gotten the vaccine now or something like that, like a ridiculous number. Like, it's been super successful, but whatever. Anyway, let's have a look here. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis harshly criticized a 60 Minutes report in a press conference on Tuesday. I can read. The governor was referring to how 60 Minutes omitted 356 words from his 423-word answer in the report, and it shows how dishonest these are smear merchants. That's why nobody trusts corporate media. They are a disaster in what they're doing. They knew what they were doing was a lie. I knew what they were doing was a lie. Everybody knew what they were doing was a lie. They know they're lying, and yet they still continue to lie, he continued. I agree with that. DeSantis then reasserted his intent to defend himself against the allegations and hold the corporate media responsible. 60 Minutes attempted to portray the state's vaccination partnership with Publix, a grocery store chain, as being nefarious. I know corporate media thinks that they can just run over people. You ain't running over this governor. I'm punching back, he said. You come down to our state and you try to smear people, we're going to bite back and we're going to hold you accountable. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Several prominent Democrats defended DeSantis against the accusation, including Jared Moskowitz, a former Democrat state senator who now runs the state division of emergency management. And I think that is the guy, Jared Moskowitz. I think he's the guy that actually made the decision to distribute the vaccine through Publix. and he's a Democrat, and so he's defending DeSantis, which I think is fantastic. Moskowitz said that his office suggested Publix and called the report absolute malarkey. Another Democrat, former state representative Dave Kerner, a current Palm Beach County mayor, called the reporting intentionally false because he said he offered to speak with CBS, but the network rejected the offer. In a statement in response, CBS spokesman Kevin Tedesco shared a link with the Epoch Times via email of a local CBS reporter speaking with Kerner the day after 60 Minutes aired. He also said that 60 Minutes asked the governor twice for an interview, but that those requests were denied. As we always do for clarity, 60 Minutes used the portion of the governor's over 2-minute response that directly addressed the question from the correspondent, Tedesco wrote. So Tedesco is just sort of giving a sort of, pathetic response like, oh, no, we're good. We did everything right, even though obviously they didn't. Obviously, this is a kind of a manipulation to try to make DeSantis look bad intentionally, despite the fact they don't actually have any story there. There's no story there. They're lying. They're pretending there's a story there. It's obviously not true. But I'm going to watch the full 60 Minutes thing tonight, and I'm going to try to figure out exactly why people think DeSantis did something wrong. DeSantis done everything right as far as I can tell. A lot of people pointed to Florida numbers and said, they weren't as strict as other states, and they've had kind of a high death rate and stuff like that. But like, it's all old people. It's all old people in Florida. I mean, most of the people, there's so many retirees in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised there's not 10 times the amount of COVID deaths in Florida. I mean, that place should be like Italy. I mean, that place should have been full hospitals. I mean, like half the state should have died from COVID, right? So I think, probably what they did was the best possible solution. And you would have expected a high death count in Florida. And so, you got a high death count, but it wasn't hugely, it wasn't like absurd. I mean, it wasn't ridiculously higher than anywhere else. So, I think they did a pretty good job in Florida. Now, I mean, I'd have to go into a deeper dive to talk about that intelligently, but I think that's probably done a pretty good job. But I will watch the 60 Minutes report, and I'll see what I think about that. All right, do you have anything to say about this?
No.
Shall we move on to the next story?
Is there a next story?
Oh, that is the end, ladies and gentlemen. We are done with the news. I'm happy about that. Okay, darling.
Yes.
Would you like to read questions and comments?
Yes, I do.
All right.
First super chat from Lainey Buchner, Buehner.
Uh-huh.
You're one of my favorite YouTubers. Just wanted to say I appreciate your videos.
Oh, that's the most lovely thing ever. What's her name?
Lenny.
Huh?
Laney.
Lenny?
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably a guy.
Lenay.
That's probably a guy. I was saying she. That's still a lovely thing to say. Thank you, Lenny.
I think it's a girl.
Oh, it is a girl. Okay, well, thank you, Lenny. Toxic Masculinity. Weekdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.